Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Turtle WoW News with Vrograg. I am Vrograg, your news anchor orc, here to bring you all the breaking news and happenings on the Turtle WoW server. Today we are broadcasting from high atop the Archmage Xylem's tower in Ajara. He actually gave us a great deal for the studio space, only requiring that I be polymorphed into a pig for his research a dozen times before laughing and spitting on me. I'll be covering the changelog for May 2nd, 2023, including this week, exclusive behind-the-scenes look into the GitHub where most bug reports are made because this stupid orc finally figured out how it works. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Our first story is about the ongoing arms race between the Turtle WoW team and the shady people offering real money transactions for gold, or, as it's better known, RMT. These RMT teams make profits by using technology such as botting and using scripts on their tunes to farm massive amounts of gold. Once they are sufficiently stocked up on the gold, they will start spamming global channels such as Trade and World with advertisements offering players the opportunity to spend their hard-earned cash on gold. These advertisements can sometimes dupe ignorant players and sometimes entice less scrupulous players who are just simply too lazy to farm up their own gold. It's worth mentioning that any activities such as this are strictly forbidden by the terms of service on the server. This is probably why the development team is taking such a hard stance against such actors. Of course, rules like this exist for a very simple reason. Gold selling can throw economies out of whack, causing rampant inflation on goods and services on the server. It was a malady that plagued many of the communities that Blizzard ignored for their classic servers, which are a classic example of GM inactivity and mismanagement. With this in mind, the WoW dev team is ramping up their efforts to combat RMT with improved bot detection, as well as being able to see these RMT transactions being laundered through various accounts. Many of those changes are presumably being made with tools on the server backend, where players and plucky orc reporters like yours truly are not allowed to go poking around. But not all techniques used by the team are as hidden. The changelog included a new rule that players will not be able to speak until they get to level 10, up from level 5. Though it may be a mild inconvenience for new characters on the server, with any luck, this will mean that the botted characters being used to gunk up world and trade chat with their advertisements will have to work that much harder before they can spam their annoying messages again. We will continue to follow this story as it develops. Make sure, though, if you do see any advertisements in global channels, to spam moo in chat. It does make it slightly easier for the GMs to ban those tunes that are doing the advertisements. Last week, we were pleased to report that owners of the Purple Tall Strider would finally be added to the list of mounts that could swim proudly through the water. But as it often happens with old spaghetti code of an old client like the one Turtle WoW uses, fixing one thing can lead to unintended consequences somewhere else. There was a bug report about our purple feathered friend causing a game-breaking glitch by GitHub user Too High on Life, who noticed that they could start mounting up on their Purple Tall Strider while on a flight path, which caused unintended effects such as being able to cast spells and abilities while moving at epic mount speed, and being able to fly independently while mounted on their otherwise flightless bird. While we here at Turtle WoW News with Vrograg were more than happy to hear that the Purple Tall Strider could finally take to the skies, it was probably for the best that this game-breaking ability had its wings clipped. In the most recent changelog, the team, quote-unquote, fixed issues with the Purple Tall Strider. Issues indeed. The network here would like to thank the mysterious user Too High for Life for finding and reporting this bug, rather than using it for exploits, even if it was their only chance to watch their bird soar. Make sure if you ever stumble upon a glitch like that to report it to someone in support, or create a GitHub account and post observed glitches in their bug tracker. It sure has been a busy 2 weeks for the owner of the Purple Tall Strider, but with any luck, everything should be working now as intended. Our next story is about a nagging annoyance for rogues all over Azeroth, literally sapping the fun out of rogues. When class changes were announced some time ago, Rogues finally found that one of their reliable crowd control abilities was buffed. During Vanilla and Classic, the talent known as Improved Sap would only grant a Subtlety Rogue up to a 90% chance to not enter combat when using the ability. That was little comfort for a rogue asked to sap one mob in a crowd of many, when there was a good chance they would enter combat and be killed before the intercession from a tank. When Turtle WoW class changes came out, the improved sap talent was buffed to allow for a 100% chance to not enter combat, a small victory for our stealthy friends. However, reports were coming out as recently as the middle of April last month in the Rogue class channel that sap was bugged and dropping plucky rogues into combat even when having 100% chance not to do so. Interestingly enough, the previous changelog on April 27th made mention of this and was supposed to be corrected. However, in the intervening week, the bug still persisted. While this was going on, a different bug popped up. Intrepid bug reporter and self-proclaimed rogue player Lovely Muffins on GitHub noticed that when sapping enemy combatants, the action of sapping would catch the ire of nearby NPCs, such as when in the Vrograg Valley battleground. In this week's changelog, the devs are trying to fix the issue, this time choosing to reference both noticed glitches, which is why Sap had two separate lines in the log. With any luck, this problem will be solved for good, and rogues can get back to doing what they do best, stunning humanoids for 30 seconds and escaping without consequence. Our final story today touches on the epic quest that some adventurous hunters undertake to get the legendary bow, Rock Dalar. Though we won't have time to recount the quest in its entirety, perhaps the most challenging aspect of the quest is that the hunter is tasked to kill several demons dotted all throughout Azeroth. The animal-loving bow shooters must use their entire arsenal to effectively kite and whittle away at the health of their epically strong demon opponents. And they must do so without help, otherwise they will face the wrath of the Cleaner. One such demon, better known to most players as that random gnome that wanders around Silithus, Nelson the Nice. In truth, Nelson is a demon called Solinar the Slayer. When encountered by a hunter on the quest, the demon will summon waves of beetles that need to be killed, all the meanwhile hunters need to kite the demon and has to watch out for an enrage and a death coil-like fear that is thrown at them. At least that was his normal behavior in vanilla. For some time it was well known in hunter circles that trying to solo the desert demon was an impossible task. Rather than using his fear ability on a cooldown, whenever the hunter managed to root the beast, he would non-stop cast his fear effect. This reporter could find dozens of accounts of this buggy behavior dating back to last year, by a variety of hunters throughout the Turtle WoW Discord. Many hunters would have to act creatively around Solinar's fear spamming mechanic, and would recruit warlocks to duel or PvP so that they could make attempts with Curse of Recklessness on them, thus getting an immunity to the fear. It would seem that the long-standing bug has finally been squashed, the specifics on which have not been quite made clear yet, but we'll be following the story to see if Solinar is truly soloable, and hunters can hold their head up high knowing that they got Rock Dalar on their own merits and not because they figured out a way to cheese the boss. I'm afraid that is all the time we have for the news today. Stay tuned next week as we continue to watch stories develop and cover all the hard-hitting news coming from the server. As a small aside, I'd like to thank everyone, player, guildmate, or just random person curious about Turtle WoW for watching. The previous news broadcast got over 1,000 views, a milestone for this news network. As always, feel free to contact your intrepid news org on the server through whispers, in-game mail, or, if you'd rather, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. If you have any hot leads or any news stories you'd like covered, I'll be sure to check them out. I'm Vrograg from Turtle WoW News, signing off. And remember, knowledge is the deadliest weapon.